it's such a weird world to live in, being a Lord of the Rings fan, because like I genuinely want to like it's weird because I want to be known as a bigger Tolkien creator because I do have a lot of knowledge and I love Tolkien and I wanted like I've wanted to make my outlet uh being like the Tolkien gamer guy because I've been playing Lord of the Rings games for so long and I genuinely just feel like I have some of the most knowledge when it comes to Lord of the Rings games. But when it comes to interacting with some of the fans, it just never really ends well. And not everybody is like that. I'm not going to say that that's the major consensus because a lot of the people like within the Lotro community specifically are genuinely some of the nicest people I've ever met. But it's really hard for me to want to make content based around anything Lord of the Rings related, especially when anytime you make something that's Lord of the Rings related, it usually gets hit with a lot of negativity from a lot of the larger Tolkien fan base. And some of it, yeah, I will admit, I bring upon myself making videos being like a Rings of Power fan, but like I'm not gonna go like shy away from that because I am a Rings of Power fan. I love the show. I'm also a Lotro fan. I'm also a Shadow of Mordor fan. I'm also a Peter Jackson fan. I'm also a book fan. I'm literally a fan of everything. And it's just really hard to actually be able to enjoy things in a part like as part of the greater Tolkien fan base. And honestly, when it comes down to it, I think the biggest thing is I have probably the biggest Tolkien hot takes out there that a lot of people within the majority of the Tolkien fan base wouldn't like. I'm just going to say it. A book accurate Tolkien adaptation makes for terrible movies. So if you are going to make an adaptation to Tolkien's book and you want it to be accurate, you cannot do it in movie form. Otherwise, there is going to be so many problems with it. Heck, you probably, if you want to do a book accurate adaptation in general, it cannot be done live action. And that's a take that I will genuinely stand by, is that you cannot accurately adapt Tolkien and do it live action and still be true to Tolkien. Because a lot of people will be looking at so many of those moments with such a fine-tuned microscope that it will actually cause them to hate it. And you cannot, within the confines of CGI and things like that, there is just no way to be able to do things within the realm of live action CGI that would genuinely adapt Tolkien accurately. Especially with the way that modern media is now, I don't think adapting Tolkien is even going to work too well anymore. Andy Serkis is getting a lot of hate for Hunt for Gollum over a lot of dumb reasons. And I think Hunt for Gollum is genuinely doomed to fail because of how both sides of the fan base are acting. There's one side of the fan base that is upset at Peter Jackson and Andy Serkis for like their team for creating a bunch of original characters and not making it lore accurate, and they're doing a lot of things that are not within the confines of Tolkien and all of that kind of stuff. Then there's another group that are getting upset because he is doing Tolkien accurate things and he's drawing from Tolkien's inspiration from Norse mythology, and so because he has that, a lot of his cast members are white, and they're calling it racist casting. And so because of that, that is like setting up the Hunt for Gollum to be a flop on both sides, because they are genuinely unhappy with either side. They don't like the fact that there's not a lot of diversity, or they don't like the fact that it's not an accurate story, because they're introducing original characters. And I'm sorry, but you cannot have modern Tolkien and you cannot tell more stories than just the Lord of the Rings done again without taking a lot of creative liberties, because The Hunt for Gollum is not a story told in great detail. There are a ton of stories with outside of the majority of the Legendarium that would not work in order for it to be effective, without taking, what am I saying? There are a lot of things that if you were to say, like, tell the story exactly how it's written, that just would not be effective, because you would have so many holes that you would have to fill in. And so that is something that I think sets up Andy Serkis and the rest of Peter Jackson and his team to genuinely fail if we're trying to be as book accurate as people want. But yeah, so Andy Serkis and a lot of modern Tolkien media is just being doomed to fail, because if you follow Tolkien's accuracy, then you're gonna not be doing things progressive and modern. If you are not following Tolkien's media, then you're gonna be making people upset for not following the media. There's no way that modern Tolkien can win. And I genuinely think that modern Tolkien is doomed to fail. And it's sad to see. It genuinely is really sad to see.